On Overdrive today, we give you an extensive insight into the all-new Thar Roxx. Find out all about the new TVS Jupiter 110 and listen into the latest auto news. Hello and welcome to Overdrive. I'm Sunny Dutt. The Mahindra Thar has always been known as an SUV for the adventurous folks, and now an entire family can enjoy it in comfort because Mahindra is offering a 5-door SUV. It's called the Thar Roxx. Rohit tells you all about it.
Popular belief is that Thar drivers are not so friendly, and I sort of second that opinion with the kind of encounters that I've had. For example, the first Thar test mule that I ever shot, the driver tried to run me off the road, and then the daily encounters that I have with bullies on the road who think they own the road just because they are driving a Thar. Of course, like any rule, there are exceptions to this one as well, and you will also find off-road enthusiasts, people who genuinely love the Thar heritage or love what the Thar stands for. Those kind of people also buy the Thar. And now there is a new Thar, the Thar Roxx. And chances are that you will usually find friendlier people in this variant, because you see, this is the one with the 5 doors. This is the family rated Thar. But it's still a Thar, which means it needs to go off the road. So before I hop into the rear seat and tell you more about it, let's take it on the rougher stuff.
Meet the Thar Roxx, a name that sounds straight out of the Yahoo chatroom days. To avoid rivaler impersonation, it sports a grille inspired by six-pack abs. Though with angular headlights and the Armada name, it might have rocked an even stronger image, methinks. But function speaks louder than form here. And the Roxx delivers with its new 4x4 system featuring an electronic locking differential, an IntelliCurve function for making tight U-turns, and also a crawl function which we got a demo of on some seriously slushy terrain.
So we are going to demonstrate now what the IntelliTurn feature works like. You need to be in one of the terrain modes, sand, snow or mud. That we are going to be in mud because we are in a slushy area. You need to be in 4-low as well, and then you need to activate that function using the switch on the dashboard. Now without it, it's going to do a much longer turning radius, but with it the turning radius is going to be tighter. So how is it doing that? Essentially it is using the slip control. So it is going to add traction to the front wheels whenever required. It's also going to brake the inner rear wheel to keep on tightening that turning radius, cutting it short, and that is how it's going to help you. So one, you don't need to do those 3-point turns, and two, if you're on a trail, jungle trail, you need to come to that really tight U-turn or something. We all know it can become hairy in a long wheelbase vehicle like this, right? But here, even with the longer wheelbase, almost as much as a Scorpio N, it will do it much nicer and much tighter than a Scorpio N. Let's take a look. Notice how without it, it overshot the cone, and with it, it was right in between those two tight cones. So that shows you how well this function works. Again, a function that we've seen something similar like this on a very expensive car, the Lexus or even a Land Cruiser. And now you can have that in a Thar. The next thing that we're going to look at is the crawl control function that they have. So here it is essentially going to vector torque amongst different wheels. So for now we have turned it off. You're in normal mode, there's no crawl control on, and what you'll see is that the wheels just keep spinning. On a difficult obstacle like this, it just keeps spinning. We are stuck. Technically we are stuck. I can only feel the wheel spinning. You can see it as well. Now we're going to enable the crawl function, right? And that again works only with 4-low. And now essentially what it's going to do is it's going to crawl out of the situation, right? So it's vectoring torque, it is applying brakes wherever necessary, applying acceleration wherever necessary. So only on the wheels where there is traction, it's going to give it the power, right? And that is how it's going to come into play. So here you have the electronic locking differential at work, you have the brake locking differential at work. All of this is working together to crawl the vehicle out of the tricky situation, and it just works. Now this was the crawl control working in slush, but how does it work on the rocks? Now let's take a look at that as well. Here you will also see the kind of approach and departure angles that this vehicle has despite its long wheelbase. The breakover angle is also pretty good, and then of course this is a proper SUV, so the ground clearance is quite generous as well. Now these are not the kind of rocks that you will want to encounter every now and then, right? But should you come to a situation like this is how the Thar easily manages all of that. So see here, the wheels are not necessarily in the air, right? So it's not the same as going over those articulation courses. So here again, it's going to figure out which wheel has the maximum traction and then nicely play along and make sure that the torque vectoring is happening properly, the brake vectoring is also happening properly, and then you are just crawling over it all. So all of that is again coming into play. Let me remind you again, you need to be in 4 mode for this.
More on the ride quality, creature comforts as well as safety after this very short break. Stay with us, you're watching Overdrive. Welcome back, you're watching Overdrive. Now whether you're an off-road enthusiast or you're looking for a capable family car, then the Thar Roxx might just be your dream ride. And here's Rohit telling you why.
Now, usually cars that are great at off-roading like this, they translate to a bit of a underwhelming response when it comes to driving on tarmac. Like for example, slow steering and brakes that we saw with the Jimny, or a lot of noises filling into the cabin from the tires, wind, etc., even in expensive off-roaders like the Jeep Wrangler. Thankfully, the Thar Roxx addresses all of that quite nicely. Talking about the steering, the responses aren't too slow. There is an electric power steering. It is a system that is sort of taken or borrowed from the Scorpio N, but also tuned to suit the Thar a lot better. What's also carried over from the Scorpio N is the steering wheel, but it's only adjustable for tilt and not for reach. So that is a bit of a missed opportunity. I think that customization should have been allowed too. Now the suspension with the FDD or the frequency dependent damping, now that is again a tech that is borrowed from the Scorpio N but tuned for the Thar, but you still have those pulsations, especially when you're driving at highway speeds, you will feel them a lot more. We are driving on some tight winding roads and it behaves quite well. The body roll is well controlled.
Speaking of road tripping, there'll be tons of roof rack options like we've seen on the Thar 3-door. If you feel that the boot is inadequate, that is.
For a family of 5, the boot space is actually quite good. That is one thing that I was worried about. I'm glad they didn't try to cram in any jump seats here and make it a 3-row. So if you still need a 3-row, the Scorpio N is for you. This is excellent for 5 people and all of their luggage. Excellent boot. And as you would expect, that square shape also makes it a good wide aperture, and the loading lip is not too big. It's still a split tailgate. Now let's hop into the rear seat. As you see, the doors, they open 90 degrees, right? So when you look at it from the outside, the door looks small, but it opens 90 degrees. So ingress and egress, not a problem. You just have to be mindful of your head. You also get this B-pillar mounted grab handle right here so that you can easily get in. And now in terms of the space, well, the knee room, pretty good. This is the kind of headroom that I get. I'm 5 feet 8. Sumit here is 6 feet tall. And foot space, not too bad either. Under thigh support is actually quite good. You can nicely stretch out and sit quite comfortably. And you can also recline the seat. So if you want to get a snooze, you can nicely recline, enjoy that big panoramic roof. So overall, comfort is quite good. Visibility outside of the window, excellent. You have ISOFIX child seat mounts here. So even when you put your child seat here, your child is going to be able to enjoy a really good view outside of the windows.
The rear seats comfortably fit 2 adults and a child, but squeezing 3 adults might be a bit tight. The Thar Roxx isn't just about cool air conditioning and a rocking sound system. It boasts a touchscreen with wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, though we couldn't get that part to cooperate. It also packs 360-degree cameras. And like a Mercedes-Benz, there's a transparent bonnet, or well, a transparent car feature that shows you what's under the car as you crawl forward. A lifesaver when off-roading solo or when tackling those fabled potholes during our monsoons.
Plus, the standard safety tech is stacked up quite nicely. AX variants even offering level 2 ADAS, though not as refined as the one that we saw on the XUV 700. I was speaking to someone at Mahindra and they happened to tell me this is not just a Thar with 2 more doors. This is a Thar with doors 2 more. And I think I quite agree with that. This certainly is one of those.
Well, has the Thar Roxx caught your fancy compared to the Scorpio N or even the Jeep Compass? Let us know in the comment section on our YouTube channel. And before